Hello, everyone, and welcome into episode 6 of Console Command, the podcast where two friends, sometimes more than two friends, will play a game and then talk about how they feel about it. Whether they liked it, whether they didn't like it, if they hated it, and, stuff like that. Maybe go over the overview or history of it a little bit as well. I am your host, Alex the Red, joined by my friend and co-host, Hippopotamus. How's it going, Hippo?
Pretty good, Alex. And friend, don't you mean sometimes more than friend, my friend?
No, I just mean a friend.
Oh, but that's how you introduced it. You can't just take that away from me.
Well, I don't want to be. I don't want to butter you up too much. I need to make sure you know your place. I don't need you
That's
taking
fair.
over the show. Before we even hit double digits. But yeah, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Alex. It's been a day, but you do know what today is. Let's date this episode a little bit. It's Friday, and you know what that means?
Time to crack open a cold one.
Time to crack open a cold one.
I opened mine before the stream because I thought, well, oh, that's going to sound professional. But
Oh,
this isn't a professional podcast. It may sound professional and look like it's got good production values, if I do say so myself, but it's not professional.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what really constitutes as a professional podcast?
Maybe one where the host doesn't adjust himself in the middle of it. Oh god, it's
Oh,
just so
oh.
uncomfortable.
Are we back to the more than just friends topic?
I mean, if you want to, you see, my thing is, all whenever I go to work, I wear boxer briefs, right? Because I'm walking around at a pretty good pace all day. I need comfort. I need stretchiness. So I'll wear boxer briefs, and they're like the sheer ones, not like satin, but I don't know what the material is. You know the one where it's not like cotton, but I guess nylon more like.
Like sports underwear.
Basically sports underwear. But when I get home, I want to be a little bit more loosey goosey. I want to just let them hang. I want to be comfortable after being cooped up all day. But the problem is, the only chair that I have that really is comfortable enough to sit and talk and not make a shit ton of noise like all the squeakies we heard on the first couple episodes of this. It's also like scrunching just everything together and they're getting stuck to my legs. So I'm just having to move around a lot. So if you're watching this, if you're listening, thankfully you don't have to see this, but if I move around a lot, that's why.
Well, if you're listening, you don't have to see it, but you do have to hear us talk about it. And Alex, I think I know. I think I know what the solution to your problem may be.
Just chop them off.
Oh, that. I mean, I guess that is a solution. But my suggestion to you was going to be a Herman Miller chair. Have
You
you heard
know,
about those?
I've heard plenty about them. I know they were expensive before I saw the Logitech one, and I don't know if they're normally like $1,500, but they look comfortable, but they don't look that comfortable. I've never sat in one. Of you? Like, are they worth that much money?
I don't know, but every person that I know that has used it, and by person that I know, I mean person that I've seen on the internet, because no one I know personally has a $1,500 chair, and I do believe that that's around the regular price point, 13, 12 to that $1,500 range. But everyone that has used them has really enjoyed them, and honestly, thinking about it, the the posture correction, the ergonomic fit of the chair, I feel like that'd be a big upgrade from one of these gamer style racing bucket chairs things that I've got.
Yeah, I agree, but unfortunately, I'll need a much better job before I can even possibly think about doing that. Because you think $1,500, that's a swanky, like top of the line, ridiculously overpowered gaming computer. That's a brand new mattress, as you might know. That's
Yep.
a down payment on a car. It's a lot of things. And honestly, I know that we both spend a lot of time sitting at our desk playing a bunch of games or watching YouTube or whatever. So it's not a bad investment. They say invest the things that you how's the saying go?
Invest in the things that are between you and the ground.
Yeah. So it's
So
not a bad investment. It's just still kind of a luxury item, you know?
yeah, I mean there are plenty of I almost said luxury, but I mean ergonomic chairs that are in like the $300 range, $400 range,
Yeah.
$500 range. And honestly, I'm sure there is going to be, I'm sure some of it is you're paying for the brand that is Herman Miller. But I, at that price range, there has to be something that separates the $1,500 chair from the $400 chair or the $500 chair.
I
Besides just that brand name.
I have no idea what it is. I actually, now that we started talking about that, I kind of want to watch a video on that. I know that LTT's separate channel, I forget what its name, but they have a secondary channel where they do like look ats and stuff, and they have one on that I need to take a look at.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all of this is to say, Herman Miller, if you're listening to us, please sponsor us and send me specifically a chair. I would
Me too, please. It doesn't have to be the Logitech one. Honestly, I could probably squeeze out a Logitech promotion, or not promotion. Is that a sponsorship? You literally just said it, and my brain's like, duh. But yeah, I've got a Logitech mouse. The one I had before this is also a Logitech mouse. I've got a Logitech keyboard. I've got... That's it, but it's more than Hippo has. So Logitech, if you're listening, and Herman Miller, send me the Logitech chair, not Hippo.
No, see, you get the Logitech stuff.
Oh, the webcam too. Webcam.
We got to split it. We got to split it. It's got to be fair for the two of us.
Okay, we cut the chair in half. I'll get the bottom half. You get the top half.
Hey, that's a part with the ergonomics in it, so I'm okay with that.
Just stick it on the back of your current chair. Just duct tape it. It probably would be more comfortable than what you have now. It would still work.
You're probably not wrong, dog. But I did sit in this chair a lot, and it was kind of uncomfy. You know what I was doing while I was sitting in this chair a lot recently, Alex?
Playing Fall Guys.
I was playing Metroid, you ding dong. I was playing Metroid, the game that we're reviewing for today's podcast.
Are you mad that I ruined your segue?
I kind of am. But Alex, I guess we did play Metroid for today's podcast. Did you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, we did play Metroid, a game that honestly, when I first after we announced it at the last episode, I thought, well, this is gonna suck, because the few times that I have played this game, not counting like the very first time when I was a wee lad, because I didn't know any better, but the few times I played it, it's like, I don't like this. It's got some problems. It does a lot of good things right and things that are good and fun, but there are problems with it that just almost completely ruin the game for me. But upon reflection and replaying it, I think I won't be as harsh on it as I thought I was going to be at just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, Metroid is an action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo. Originally, it was released in Japan in August of 1986. Came out in North America August 87, and Europe finally got it 2 years later in 88. The game was co-developed by Nintendo, R&D 1, and Intelligent Systems, two just absolute powerhouses at Nintendo. Intelligent Systems, of course, you got Fire Emblem, you got the Paper Mario games, and others that I'm probably not thinking of. R&D 1, basically anything that you like that was portable. Like Wario Land, they did all those. They made the Game Boy. They did, I believe, the Game Boy Pocket as well. Just two big heavy hitters at Nintendo. And Gunpei Yokoi is the producer for the game. Also the creator for the Game Boy. I want to go too heavy into the dev for this. My notes are a bit heavier than I would probably want to go into it, but the game was influenced heavily by Alien, the 1979 film, particularly inspired by the film's creature designer H.R. Giger, because you look at the aliens and anything associated with them in that movie, that series, really. You can see some inspirations, especially when you look at Ridley. Do you agree?
Thinking about that, not specifically Ridley, but thinking about it from a Super Metroid standpoint, I can see that, yes, with Ridley, but I can also see it with like the Space Pirates in Super Metroid.
Yeah, obviously with the NES, the scope of it can't be fully realized, but the inspiration is there. Now, Nintendo actually wanted to set Metroid apart from other games they'd been making recently by making a non-linear adventure game, which, with exploration being basically the keystone of the experience. Because you think before this, excluding Zelda, of course, a lot of their stuff was either an arcade title or a basic platformer. So Mario, Mario 2, I think, came out before this, maybe? Don't correct me on that, because I don't want to be wrong. But yeah, they had more simplistic games, and they wanted to basically give you more freedom to in how you progress. So you're frequently going to have to retrace your steps in order to make progress in the game, and that includes making the screen scroll both to the left and the right. And I don't know about you, but when I first played this, I was, maybe 4 or so, and I didn't know any better. I didn't think to go left at the beginning, so most people, when they start this game, they're going to keep going right and go around. It's like, well, where the hell do I go now? You'll get to a point where you have to go into a morph ball. And he's like, well, I can't crawl. How does Metroid crawl?
See, I'm kind of I understand why you would think that because like I mean you play Mario before that. You can't go left, you go right. But I was lucky enough to have my brother playing it before me. And I was
Mhm.
just a wee lad too, like you when I first played it. So I knew that I had to go left. And I feel like I would have gone left, but I mean there you can't really say I can't really say one way or the other. I would just naturally go left because I can definitely understand why you would choose to go right at the start rather than going left. But I
Yeah,
mean, thinking about it, that really does set it apart from the previous games, like you mentioned, where you're not just going right. You do have to go left in order to go right.
yeah. Another thing that sets it apart from other games at the time was the upgrade system. Looking back again at Mario, I hate to kind of refer to Mario in this way. I'm not trying to rag on the game. I love the series in the original Mario Brothers, but for example, most upgrades in that game were pretty temporary, like the Starman, the Fire Flower. If you get hit when you have the Fire Flower, you die, and obviously the Starman only lasts about what 10 or so seconds. I don't remember.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
With Metroid, the upgrades are permanent. So you go get that the morph ball, the Maru Mari, as it's referred to in the original manual. You'll have it for the rest of the game. You get a health upgrade, you've got it for the rest of the game. No ifs, ands, or buts.
And I feel like we're comparing this a lot to Mario, and that's fair because Mario is like when I think of Nintendo, I think of Mario. But honestly, I feel like the better comparison for this game
Hmm.
would be more of a Zelda sense because kind of like with Metroid, when you start out, you're not going to go just right in Zelda. You have to go up into a cave. So I feel like it's more of a fair comparison to have it towards Zelda than it is to
Hmm.
Mario. But Mario, I feel like and people may argue with me on this one, but I feel like Mario is more of the main staple, especially thinking about like the NES. When I
Yeah,
think of the NES, I'm going to go with Mario more than I would Metroid, or if I would with Zelda.
yeah. And also, not only are they permanent, but you may not need to get all of them to beat the game. You can actually skip some. Don't skip the ice beam though. We'll get back to that later. Anyway, once you defeat the final boss, you're given an end screen based on how long it took you to get there. And this was interesting because this is one of the first games to have multiple endings. It was 5 in total, I think. In the third, fourth, and fifth endings, you find out that Samus is actually a woman. Which, if you actually owned this game back in the day, the manual only referred to Samus as a he. So I guess, I don't know if that was a mistranslation, or if they were intending to subvert your expectations, or what, but a lot of people just did not expect it. I don't think anyone expected it, honestly.
Hold on, are you telling me that Metroid is a girl?
Yeah. Well, you mean Samus. Samus. Do you say
Yeah.
Samus or Samus? I
Um,
switch,
I've
I
always
swap between them.
I've always been a Samus kind of guy.
Me too. That's usually how I'll say it. But yeah, Samus is indeed a woman, and that was kind of a big deal back in the day. I don't really recall a lot of other games that had a female protagonist that was such a strong lead. You have this this lone bounty hunter going onto a planet, tackling this seemingly impossible task all on her own, and comes out on top.
Now that you mention it, I'm trying to think of just off the top of my head, uh, any NES games that had a female protagonist, and I can't think of anything. There might have been some RPGs, but I can't think of anything off the top of the dome piece that had a female protagonist.
There are some. There's one that I'm having trouble remembering the name of, and I don't want to go clacky clack and have more audio issues here. But I think it's like Princess Warrior Athena or something. It was an SNK game, I believe, because I think she's in some later SNK games, including fighting games. But there weren't very many, and especially over here in the US, there weren't as many. But yeah,
Definitely. And well, Alex, I mean, that kind of goes over the history of the game and the story of the game. And we
we
kind
didn't
of
really
touched
touch
on
on
it.
the story too much.
Oh, well, let's go into the story then.
I'm
Good
sorry,
catch.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I do actually want to touch on the story because I know on the past couple episodes we've done, we said here's this like 30 seconds later we're done, and we start talking about the gameplay. But there's actually a little bit more to chew on here. Game takes place, excuse me, not the game. Metroid is the game, and it takes place in the year 20X5. I don't know if that's supposed to be 2000X5 or 2005 or 2015, the distant year of 5 years ago. Takes place in the year 20X5. Metroids, the eponymous Metroids, are a parasitic life form discovered originally on the planet SR388 by space pirates. Basically, an evil organization, even though space pirates is kind of like a general term in most media that I've consumed. I don't know about you. They they round up all the Metroids on SR388, and they plan to replicate them and use them as biological weapons to say, hey, this is what we want, and if you oppose us, we are going to just destroy you. The Galactic Federation, which is basically just the police force in this universe, they eventually locate the space pirates' base on planet Zebes, not Zebeth, Zebes. I honestly cannot remember if it's. I don't think it's Zebes. I'm pretty sure it's Zebes.
I always pronounced it Zeebs.
Even like like when you were playing it just a couple days
Well,
ago.
honestly, when I played it, I couldn't remember the name of anywhere.
Okay, but yeah, they find their base on planet Zebes, and they try to assault the pirates, but after a pretty heavy resistance, they are forced to retreat. So, as a final last-ditch Hail Mary effort, Federation sends in a bounty hunter to breach the base and hopefully destroy Mother Brain. That's the basic the boss, the head honcho that's controlling the fortress and its defenses. And in this universe, Samus Aran, there we go, switching names again. Samus Aran is considered to be basically the best bounty hunter. Like she is a bad bitch. She will fuck you up. She will get the job done. No questions asked. They send her in for this dangerous mission, this very dangerous mission. Uh, Basically going into a planet with no backup, only the power suit, and honestly not much else besides a blaster. You're pretty defenseless when you first jump in there. As you explore the planet, excuse me, as she explores the planet, Samus finds and defeats both Kraid and Ridley. Kraid is not closely affiliated with the Space Pirates, just basically an ally, someone they. I don't know if he is originally from Zebes or anything. I haven't done a deep dive into the lore, but he's essentially an ally to the Space Pirates. And Ridley, who is the commander of the Space Pirates, not the whole boss of this situation, but the head of the Space Pirates. And once Samus defeats them, she eventually finds Mother Brain and destroys it. But lo and behold, after she destroys Mother Brain, there is a time bomb set to explode before she can get out of there. So she has to escape in time, and of course she does, because we have this wonderful series. It's still going to this day, waiting on you, Metroid Prime 4. And that's the story. So not like super complicated, but it's a nice setup, and it's not really thrown at you. It's not quite Dark Souls levels of you have to find the story, but it's nice. I like it for what it is.
And honestly, with the way the game is designed, you don't even have to know the story
No.
to complete it. I mean, honestly, you touched on a lot more that I thought was actually introduced in future games than
Mm.
it was actually in this one. But I mean, I just went in there and I was just like, pew pew pew. Let me get my stuff. I know I have to beat Mother Brain. I know she's the big bad.
Yeah,
I mean, I went into it with the original Nintendo mindset of like, hey, here's a game,
press
here's
start
your
and play.
objective, beat it. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So
there's. I'm sorry, go ahead.
there's a lot more story than I initially thought for the game itself.
Well, whenever you first boot up the game, you might be, pretty eager to press start, get in, start blasting. But there is just a little sliver of story. If you let the title screen hang for a second, it's basically explaining space pirates have captured Metroids. Here's their base. You're Samus Aran. You're going in. Go destroy them. That's it.
Boom.
But yeah, that's the story for Metroid. I
And
think.
we touched on this a bit earlier. We both played it when we were younger.
Hmm.
What are your experiences with the game?
Uh, Honestly, with this particular game, the only thing I can remember before playing it on the Game Boy Advance was kind of similar to my experiences with Mega Man 4. Just being at my grandparents' house, someone had the Nintendo hooked up, and oh wait, what's this game? This looks cool. The character is shooting a beam, and there's a spiky boy. Let's throw that in. And I remember getting the morph ball. I remember moving around, but I don't remember doing anything besides getting the morph ball because, well, I mean, it's
It's
we'll
hard.
get into it.
Yeah, I mean, like with me, my brother had the game, and I watched him play it. My main experience with the game is Justin Bailey. For
Mhm.
those unaware, the way the game is designed, it's a pretty long game for a Nintendo game, and there aren't any like saves on the console itself, or on the cartridge, I should say. So they have a password system implemented in there.
Mhm.
It'll save your progress, your health, your, well, not save it, but the password's tied to your progress, your health, your number of missiles, things like that. Well, there's a code called Justin Bailey where you play as I don't know if Samus is fully powered up. I know she's
I
pretty
believe she
powered up.
is.
Could be fully powered up. I think she's got the ice beam as well. Not the wave beam, but the ice beam with that one. And you're playing as Samus without her suit. So that is my main memory of the game. Cheating to play the game and then getting to Bubble Land and then quitting because Bubble Land is really, really hard.
Yeah, we will definitely touch on that. So before we move on to the general gameplay for this particular title, what's the and I'll do mine after yours. What's your first like big exposure to the series? What's the first game you remember like really sinking your teeth into and playing legitimately?
100% it's going to be Super Metroid. We had it on the Super Nintendo again. My brother had the game, and I don't think I ever beat Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo itself.
Mm.
I think I played a lot of it on the Super Nintendo, but never got very far into it. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older, maybe seventh, eighth grade, that I played it again on a emulator, and that's when I was first able to actually beat the game.
Mm.
What about you, Alex?
Well, it's a bit strange because I don't. I'm very close to saying Super Metroid is my favorite, but my the first Metroid game I really had a chance to sink my teeth into is Super Smash. No, not Super Smash Brothers. Metroid Prime, actually. I always knew about Metroid. The most striking memory I have of the series from my childhood is like just like being a child, not like a teenager or anything. Is the Metroid 2 commercial on, well, just the Metroid 2 commercial. It was very, very creepy for me as a young kid, but it definitely stands out in my mind. But Metroid Prime was the first one I remember like really playing. I got the GameCube, and I got Metroid Prime, and I didn't get a memory card. So that was a fun experience, as you can probably understand, since it's not a short game at all. But uh, yeah, just I remember reading reviews for that in Electronic Gaming Monthly. It's like, oh wow, this is getting perfect scores. It looks like a fun game. I want to try it, and I did, and Then I played Fusion, and then I played Super Metroid, and then Zero Mission, and then it was I don't want to say love at first sight because we talked about how Metroid went on the NES, but love at second sight for sure.
Did Metroid Prime, do you know, did Metroid Prime come out before the Game Boy Advance games?
Metroid Prime and Fusion actually came out on the same day. So if you're a Metroid fan before that, you were like, oh my god, two new
Well,
games.
see, and that's kind of where I'm kind of stuck on Metroid Prime because I really enjoyed Super Metroid. I think by the time it came out, I had beaten Super Metroid.
Hmm.
And I know we got both Metroid Prime Day One, and we must have gotten Fusion Day One that came out. And I played Fusion, and I really enjoyed Fusion. I
Hmm.
tried to play Metroid Prime, and it being a first-person shooter, I was completely thrown off, and
Really?
I could not force myself to enjoy the game.
You didn't like shooters back then?
No, and I was really bad, and not only that, but you're playing it on the GameCube controller, which is kind of a weird controller in itself.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to it and I want to play it, but the thing is, I tried doing that maybe 5 years ago,
Hmm.
and the control style for it, I just couldn't get into it because at this point now I'm used to current first person shooter controls, and not just mouse and keyboard, but like on an actual joystick.
Yeah.
So left stick forward back strafe, and then right stick look around, and it's just for me it was so difficult. I really want like a remastered with like current controls, but I know it's probably just a pipe dream and never gonna happen.
Well, if you don't mind the Wii remote too much, there's the trilogy on that you can get on the Wii U for $20, and it's not gonna look great because it's got the Wii resolution going through HDMI, but it still looks good, especially for something that was originally a GameCube game, and it plays great because I don't mind the GameCube controls, but I will say that I'd rather have it like just like a 360 pad, that kind of setup, like dual analog. But aiming and with the Wii remote and moving with the nunchuck is nice. But I didn't play Super until like 2000, 2005, something like that. It was pretty close to either right before high school or during high school. Pretty late. Anyway, I think that about covers like exposure to the series. Back to Metroid. You wanna go over some of the gameplay on that, like how that goes?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Metroid, as you touched on earlier, is kind of like a action adventure platformer kind of game, adventure style game. And as you mentioned, there are upgrades, things that you keep permanently as you go on. So progress was kind of tied to those upgrades that you get. So we mentioned it earlier. The first thing you have to do once you start the game is go left, grab an item called the morph ball. Morph ball is going to let you turn into a little ball, move around on the ground, basically lower your sprite a little bit. Well, you need that in order to progress to later areas. I think like the second room means you can't even go past it unless you're morph balled. And that just kind of sets the scene on the progress that you need items in order to progress in the game. So there are other things like missiles that you need that you'll grab later in the game to open up doors, which those doors will lead to other upgrades or other areas that you wouldn't have access to. There are upgrades to your weapon. To when you initially start, Samus will only shoot maybe about like quarter of the screen. Her beam will only go a
It's
quarter of the screen.
it's not far at all. It's awful.
Is is tiny, but very early on, and it's not even necessary for you to get it. It helps out so much. You can get a long beam, which will let Samus shoot the entire way. You can get an ice beam, which will freeze enemies in place, and you can use those enemies as platforms. You can get a wave beam. It's an either or situation with the wave beam or the ice beam, where you're trading off. You get a lot more power, but you can't freeze those enemies. And then later in the game, you actually encounter the ever elusive Metroids, the scary, scary enemies, the title of the game. And in order to kill them, you need to freeze them and then pump them full of missiles. So you have that trade off. You can use the wave beam and make it easier to get to that point up to the Metroids, or you can keep that ice beam and maybe a little bit harder to get to the Metroid area, but you're gonna have a much easier time once you get to that Metroid area.
Plus, you can also trade them out. Whenever you pick up a beam weapon, the wherever you picked up the previous upgrade, it's then replenished. So you can go back and get the ice beam or vice versa.
And then there are also a lot of like hidden areas in the game, and some hidden areas you actually have to go to. You have to get to them in order to proceed. That's one of my biggest complaints going into this one, but I'll discuss that in a few moments here. But eventually, you get all of your upgrades, you defeat bosses, and as you defeat the bosses, after you defeat the two main bosses, Kraid and Ridley, you open up a bridge that lets you go to that final area where those Metroids are, and then you take on the big mother herself, Mother Brain, and you have your nice little final boss fight and have your escape sequence after you destroy her.
Nice isn't the word I would use, but yeah, they give you basically 5 areas, and you can tackle them in mostly any order that you want. The 5 areas being Brinstar is where you start off. Norfair is where you get not most of the upgrades, but you do spend a good chunk of time there. Then there's Kraid and Ridley, named after each of the respective mini bosses. And finally Turian, which is, as you said, Mother Brain's lair.
Mhm.
And while you can tackle these in any order that you want, I don't know, the way that it's laid out, you're gonna have a bad time, because if you don't know where the various suit is, you're going to take so much damage when you go into Kraid or Ridley's lair. It's gonna be a bad time.
Alex, what is the Varia suit?
Various suit is the upgrade, I would say, one of the most necessary upgrades besides the ice beam and obviously the morph ball and the morph ball bombs, because it basically halves the damage that you take. And some of the lava pits no longer do damage to you. Not all of them, but some of them. And yeah, I don't think, unless you're just like going for a challenge run or you're naturally gifted at video games, you need this. You're not gonna win.
Let me ask you this, Alex. So you say that Varia suit is incredibly important, right?
Did you not get the Varia suit?
Let me ask you. So that Varia suit is incredibly important, right?
Yes.
So it being very important, that Varia suit is going to be on your main path, and you are going to come across it, and you are going to grab that no matter what, right?
Well, let's see. You really misunderstood their intent with this game, because
Exactly.
it's the critical path is not always a clear path.
So
It
what I'm alluding to is Alex was mentioning how important this various suit is, how important it is to cut your damage in half. And you know what? He is 100% right. If you don't get it, and even if you do get it, the game is totally gonna kick your butt. So you would think that this various suit would be on your where like it'll just be on your way to wherever you need to go. No, the various suit is actually located in a hallway, and in that hallway, you need to shoot the blocks above you to open up a path. And once you get up over that little area in the hallway, that's where the various suit is. There's nothing else there. It's just the various suit.
To be fair, you can sequence break in a way, or at least get this early. I wouldn't call it sequence breaking. Uh, if you have the ice beam when you go in here, you can shoot whatever enemy is flying around in there and jump off of them instead of needing the high jump boots like the game expects you to do. So I will
Oh,
give them that.
oh yeah, I 100% did that. But my point is, this item that I would argue is critical to you beating the game is very easily skipped, very easily missed, and out completely out of where you would think to look. Like, hat I'm gonna be straight with you here. I wanted to go into this game like I did with Metroid. No guide, nothing. And
Like
then
you did
after
with
about
Mega
three
Man,
like I did with Mega Man. And
said
like I did
Metroid.
with
Just
oh, sorry. Like I did with Mega Man. So after about 3 hours of like running into a wall, not knowing where to go, uh, I found that I'd missed the Various suit and that
mhm.
I could get it early. And not only that, but I found that I missed the ice beam early. And there are two locations for you to get that ice beam, and you don't necessarily have to get this ice beam the first go around, but you try to go to is the ice beams in Bubble Town, right? Or is it in Ridley's Lair?
It's actually in it's in
The second
Brinstar.
ice No, the second ice
Oh, the
beam.
second one should be Norfair.
Yeah, so the second ice beam, which you are going to come across, is in Bubble Town, Norfair, like Alex said. But if you go to Norfair without that Varia suit and without that ice beam, that you get a first one that's kind of hidden away in Brinstar, the starting area, you're gonna have a really bad time. The game is incredibly difficult, and during my first playthrough of the game, I was so frustrated. I had to bring up a guide to figure out where I needed to go, to figure out some of the items I missed. I didn't care about getting all the missiles, and I didn't care about getting all the tanks, but the fact that I couldn't figure out how to actually progress in the game was
Mhm.
so frustrating.
Yeah, I fully went into this with the mindset of I'm going to not ever look at a guide. I'm going to just throw myself at that wall over and over and figure out where to go. Maybe even draw my own maps and just play it the right way. And maybe like 20 minutes in, ah, fuck, let me just look up where this is. I'm not ashamed to admit it because I don't want to deviate too much because I want to save it for that later section. But not having even like some sort of a basic like rudimentary blocky map just kind of makes this really hard to play because you don't really have like a sense of where you are, and so many of the rooms look so similar. It's very easy to lose track of where you're going and where you have been and where you need to go. That's probably the biggest problem that I have with this game.
Yeah, well, so I can forgive it for not having an in-game map. Is it a little frustrating? Yes, but I can forgive it. I can usually make a pretty good mental map of games like this as I'm playing along. But the fact that there are so many, the places that you need to go are hidden behind so many hidden blocks is what's so frustrating to me. Like, I don't know if it's in Norfair or if it's in Brinstar, but there's an area where you have to fall into like a little lava pit, and then you have to do bombs on the ground in a corner of that little lava pit
Yep,
to move down to another area. And like,
that's Ridley, I
one,
believe.
one, why would I think about that?
You wouldn't.
You've already established that lava is dangerous. And if I guess by this point I would have realized that there are hidden blocks. I mean, I know me being 30 years old, having played before, playing the series before, I know that there are hidden blocks. But would I don't know if I was 15 in 1986, would I know would I think to bomb those areas, or would it be something where I need to get my latest Nintendo Power so I can get the guide to figure
Mhm.
out how to beat the game?
Yeah, it's I don't want to go in circles with what ifs, but I think even if I was playing this for the first time as a kid with a lot more free time, I probably would have bounced off it very quickly, just because of so many. Like, there's an expectation that they really want you to explore, and I know this is like their first shot at it, so I'm trying not to just beat it with a sledgehammer saying you suck, but I mean. It definitely didn't stick the landing. It's way better than something like Simon's Quest, but it's still just like slightly opaque enough to make you want to just like, man, this needs some more polish, needs some more work.
Definitely, definitely. And I feel the same way. Like I see the tinge of the really good game there. But the fact that there was all of that stuff that happened kind of early on to me just kind of like started me with the game with a sour mood.
Yeah, but I will say that once you do get those first couple of upgrades, once you get like a couple missile tanks and you get an E-tank or two, and you do get the Very Suit early, or just once you start making progress, it definitely it grows on you a lot more. It gets addictive. Like I do like to explore. This game has an amazing atmosphere for especially for what it is. Like, even just going back to it now, I feel like just this mood of like it's an ominous mood. You feel like you're actually isolated on the planet, and you're by like have all these enemies. Like you don't know what to do. It feels truly alien, and that helps. That's helped by the music and more the music. Like the graphics are good, which I feel like we're gonna if it's anything that's NES like 8-bit, we're gonna say it looks good because you know that it's retro. I
I
just don't know
mean,
how to be more like what's the word? I guess I don't know how to word it better, but saying hey, it looks fine.
it serves its purpose. I know that Samus is a person. I can make out the environments. I can tell what are enemies. It serves its purpose. It does its job.
And the design of the enemies is really cool. I like how when you blast one of them and they die, this is basically just like a giant explosion. Same to you if whenever Samus dies, it's just like it looks like body parts flying everywhere. It's kind of horrifying in a way. But that coupled with the sound design and the music, it's very well done. Some of the music is a bit repetitive for my taste, but overall, it definitely creates a mood where that they wanted that like hey, I'm on an alien planet up against this impossible task. What am I going to do? And it has those moments of triumph, like the escape music and the credits. I really like those two. Not quite as much as Super Metroid. That's not a fair comparison, but it's very close with them. Like you just like, hey, I did it. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. On the music, I can't really speak on it as much on this go around. I was playing the game on my Switch, kind of doing it in bed. Danny was watching Sailor Moon beside me, so I mostly had Sailor Moon as my background music for
Ah,
this go around. Now I do know the music for Metroid, but it's been a little bit, so I don't really, since I didn't experience it with the game itself, I don't want to speak too much on the music for this one.
yeah, but yeah, music is very good. Uh, game controls are tight. The only thing I don't like about the controls are probably what was it? Something about the jumping does feel a little weird if you're doing it. Like it feels just ever so slightly like loosey goosey.
Yeah, when you said the controls are tight, I had to kind of give you a little bit of a face there because I don't agree with you that the controls are tight. I mean, Samus jumps when you push the jump button, and Samus shoots when you push the shoot button. But as you're in the air, like you said, she feels really floaty. But that's only when you're like in the spinning jump. If you're in like
Yeah.
your if you like jump first and then start moving after you jump, I feel like you've got a lot of control over Samus. But I will say after I killed Mother Brain and I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, I want to get out as soon as possible.
Hmm.
Uh, I fell several times because I was trying to control the floaty jump. I feel like she just kind of moves around a little bit more
She
in
does,
the
but
spinning jump.
and I think she's supposed to be like they wanted her to feel more floaty when she's doing that, and also the platforms there are really tiny. But I stand by my opinion on that. I think the controls are good. It's just the jumping is like a little but they fixed it later.
Yeah, see, that's my only thing. Like, I do agree the controls are good. It's just that floaty jump thing that's what leads me to feel like the controls are not good.
Mm.
But um, I can definitely see the appeal of the controls, the appeal of the float.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of losing my
No
way.
worries, no worries. So, I mean, we did talk about how we didn't there are parts of the game we didn't like. But I will say this, like kind of like with Metroid, or not, kind of like with Mega Man. After I beat the game, I came back to it a day later, and knowing the layout and knowing where I needed to go, knowing where things were, I tried playing it again, and I'll tell you, I was having a really good time playing it around this second time. And then I got to
Lower Norfair. I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
Ridley Sound, yeah, or not, I guess, yeah,
Not
Bubble
Ridley.
Town.
Yeah, Bubbletown.
And yeah, it's right before Ridley. And there's an area where there are platforms, kind of like columns, and
Hmm.
you jump from column to column. Below the columns are pits of lava. I have the Varia suit by this point. So I get hit by an enemy. I miss my jump. I fall into the column. All right, it's cool. Jump out. Joke's on
The
you.
column's too high for you to get to, isn't it?
You can't jump out. And I had enough time while I was standing in the lava because I had the Varia suit
No, this
and I
lava
had the
still
right.
hurts you.
No, yeah, yeah, I know. I had the time because I had the Varia suit. And I had enough time to look online to try to find a way to get out of this pit.
Oh my
And
god.
it's possible to get out of this pit if you launch a morph ball and like do the morph ball thing, the
Mhm.
infinite bomb thing. But you don't have to do the infinite bomb thing. You can do a morph ball bomb and then jump into the bomb and you get launched out. I'll tell you, a lot easier said than done.
It
So
certainly is.
I stood in that lava for maybe 3 minutes. I don't feel like I'm exaggerating with that, but I feel like I stood in that for like 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And then I said, you know what? I beat the game once already. I don't feel like starting this area with no health and the limited missiles that I have, so I'm good.
I
But
didn't sorry,
I
go.
was having a great I was having a great time until that happened.
I didn't quite get that far when I decided to pick it back up just for, like a quick little funsy session, but I did get stuck there the first time, and that's honestly was. I feel like it's not fair to the game to say that it almost ruined it for me, but being stuck there, waiting for your health to whittle down, feeling like you don't have an escape, even though you technically have a way to escape, it's just really like it's a I don't want to say a workaround. It's just this really hard way to escape. It just was not very fun, like not having any sort of recourse there. But I eventually just ended up spamming the bomb button, and I kind of launched myself out just by some weird form of luck. I got out. Then I fell down again, and I had to basically teleport via death.
Oh yeah, that was really fun. Like is it Ridley's lair that's kind of mazy?
Ridley's lair is like a big circle. Kraid's lair is more maze like.
Yeah, I killed one of them and I was just like, I don't know how to get out of here. So I just yeeted myself so I could get to Norfair. I was like, I don't know how to get out of Norfair. So I just yeeted myself so I could get back to Brinstar.
Nor fair, more like no fair that I keep falling into these pits.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
let's
guess
see.
Alex, with all that, were there any other like major anything else with the game itself that stuck out for you?
Oh yeah, there's one big thing I'm surprised you didn't touch on.
Hmm.
Farming for health. What this game does, when you first start the game, you beginning of Brinstar, you start with 30 hit points. But that's actually not your cap. Your cap is 99. And whenever you pick up an E-Tank, you get another 99 hit points. Whenever you die, you'll start at the beginning of that area. You don't have to put in the password. That's only if you turn the game off and back on. When you die, you reload at the beginning of what every area you're currently in, and you only have 30 hit points. That's even if you pick up multiple E-Tanks, you only have 30 hit points. So what you have to do is hope that you maybe have an E-Tank that you haven't picked up and try to run for that if you're a mad lad and maybe not get hit by enemies on the way. Because you pick up an E-Tank, your health is completely filled. What you're really expected to do is find an enemy spawn and shoot the enemy over and over and over and over and oh, he finally dropped health and over and oh wait, health only gives you 5 points usually and over and over. Oh, the big guys drop 20, but there's not enough big guys and over, and it's just fucking ridiculous, dude. That's if it's not like the lower pits and Norfair that ruined this game for me, it's farming for health because it's not fair for you to. I don't think they expect you to go to an E-Tank as a means of refilling your health, because there is a finite number of them. You can only have up to 6. But anything beyond that, if you need a refill, you can use them, but they don't respawn, obviously. So to go to an enemy farm, just sit there for... Honestly, I was sitting at one of them for about 15 minutes trying to refill my health. Because if it's not dropping missiles when you need health, or dropping health when you need missiles, it's they're dropping nothing a lot of the time too. It's like, what are you doing?
Now that you mentioned that, when I got to Metroid City eventually, uh, I died to Mother Brain, right?
Yeah.
So I've used all of my missiles on Mother Brain and the Metroids. So I'm dead. I have to start over. There's a farming spot kind of close by, but the thing is, like you mentioned, you only have 30 health once you start. Not only do I need to fill my health, but I've got to fill up my missiles too. So that was that was a
Awful.
fun time getting all
I
that. I did find out though, if you bomb on one of those little platforms that enemies pop out of, it like
mhm.
basically like, launches you up into the air and an enemy immediately spawns and dies to the bomb. So it makes it a lot easier at least. I don't have to you can turn your brain off and just bomb.
Yeah, I didn't like that when the second you pick up whatever the enemy dropped, that they respawned immediately after. So if for some reason you're shooting them as they like right on top of the pit, you find out
So
very quickly. Don't do that.
if you're standing on top of the pit and you're doing like that bomb strategy, um, once you pick up the health pickup or the missile pickup, it reads you as on top of the platform, so the enemy won't spawn until you do the bomb and it launches you in the air again.
I never
So
did that. I just shot them.
it doesn't it makes it not as bad, but it's still a PETA.
Yeah, and honestly, a PETA that kind of just, like I said before, it almost ruined the game completely for me. Thankfully, I was cheating and using my NES Classic, and I only did it at like the beginning of an area. I didn't like stay or save right before Mother Brain's room and reloaded there. I did narrowly escape with only 6 points of health, but I just did it at key points, so I didn't have to like do a lot of backtracking.
Yeah. I had access to save states with the Switch, but I opted not to go that route. I kind of wish I did just to save my time on having to do all that farming once I got to the area. I did find out though, like after Mother Brain killed me that first time, that the little glass bottles you have to shoot out, those stay dead. So
Oh, really?
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot easier. The Mother Brain fight isn't as bad. Getting to it and then actually doing it that second go around, and then third go around because I jumped into Mother Brain's glass and that takes off like a billion health.
Oh, I never jumped into her.
Smart man.
Don't jump into Mother Brain. She don't like it. Yeah. Uh, I think that's probably enough harping on it. I don't feel like we said as much good, but I will say that I guess just kind of like for my rating, um, I probably dislike more than I like this game. It feels weird to say because I absolutely love this series and where it went later on. But this first entry is very difficult to go back to in current year. Like it's not fun. Like I mentioned, not having the map. Sure, it's fun to like maybe draw your own and kind of retrace your steps. Like you feel like you're really exploring, but it's I don't know, like not having the map and the farming and the inescapable pits. I know that's only one area, but like just why would you design that? Overall, though, I did enjoy Metroid. I would play it again. I would not recommend it as your first game in the series. Go to Super Metroid if it's your first game. Maybe even Zero Mission. Zero Mission is absolutely fantastic. But this is like we said with Mega Man. I appreciate it for what it did, what it started, but eh.
You give it a out of
I'd say like the 7, just out of respect.
Oh, you're going with the respect route. I
Yeah.
can respect that. On my side of things, I'm actually going to give it 2 ratings.
Oh.
First rating, first rating is going to be on the blind playthrough rating.
Mhm.
I will give it a 4 out of 10 on that rating because
Jesus.
it was a pain to actually like figure out what I needed to do in order to progress. And I actually couldn't do it myself. It was a pain trying to get all that trying to do all the farming once Mother Brain killed me, or once Ridley killed me, or well, Ridley didn't kill me, but once I died in an area after I've gotten pretty far in it. Um, it was there was a lot of it that I really disliked my playthrough, but the second time I went into it and I knew where things were, and I knew that I should go here to get the various suit, and I knew that I should go here to get the ice beam. I was having a lot of fun with it. Like the controls can be a little wonky with the jumping, but like, knowing I know where things are. I can do this. I had a lot more fun that second time until that one little incident with a little pitfall that you shouldn't be
Mhm.
in the game. Why would you do that? But it was a ton of fun, and had that not happened, I probably would have beaten the game a second time last Saturday morning.
Really?
So I honestly think I would have beaten it again had I not gotten stuck in that pit. I think I would have done it deathless too. Um,
Big man here, big words.
but well, okay, I probably would have died to fast travel. But on that go around, the second go around, I'd give that about a 7 out of 10. I was having a lot of fun with it that second go around until that instant death by falling in the pit, and by instant death I mean 5 minute wait death.
Mm-mm. Just to touch on one other thing about the boss fights. If I had to do like a power ranking, Ridley is surprisingly just a complete and utter little, like, he's nothing in this game, which is weird because in pretty much every other game he's in, he's a force to be reckoned with. He will bend you over. He's the easiest boss. Kraid, I don't remember him being this difficult. He wasn't like hard, but he put up a fight. And the spike, it was just hard to even start shooting at him. Mother Brain is okay. It's more the SpaghettiOs in her lair that I didn't like dealing with. I just wanted to touch on the fact that Ridley is like, I don't remember him being such a little
I
baby.
mean, if you've got the wave beam, you can go under Ridley's platform and just shoot up and kill him that way.
You dirty did you do that?
No, I didn't think about it until afterwards, and the guy said, "Hey, you can go under Ridley and you can shoot him that way." I was like, "Oh, all right, well, fair enough."
I didn't even get the wave beam this time. I only got the ice beam.
I got it so I could dunk on other enemies. It's really nice to shoot those little crawly boys, uh, without having to like do the missile or anything, or not missiles, but bombs.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
I guess
Metroid.
I guess that covered, like you said, I guess that covers Metroid. But Alex, this is a books club style podcast, so we have
This
to
is
pick
a
another
game
game.
club?
Excuse me, it's a game club podcast. So we do have to pick a game for our next episode. I think you have a good idea on what we should play, huh?
I mean, I know what I have. I don't know why you got to beat around the bush.
We gotta play it up for the cameras and the microphones.
I was gonna say, I don't know. Are you ready to play the game? Are you ready to do the Sonic Boom podcast? Are y'all ready? No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna be playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I figured with the remakes coming out here in what, literally a week? Yeah, literally a week from today, we got the remake for 1 and 2 coming out. I'm very excited about that. I figured let's go ahead and revisit one of my favorite games from my preteens and teens, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So that's what we're gonna play, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for that one.
I am so excited for this.
More excited than Metroid, hopefully.
Oh god, yes.
Before we go, Hippo, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on twitch.tv/hippo_pat_amiss or on Twitter. Same thing, hippopotamus.
And you can find me, Alex the Red, at twitch.tv/Alex the Red, on Twitter as Alex the Red with an extra D, REDD. Yeah, that'll do it for today. Anything else? Any final words before we go?
Metroid. Kill yourself to fast travel, baby.
Kill yourself to fast travel. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for listening. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Take care.
Bye, guys.